Hi, I'm TheeCalza's. Welcome to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking to Tiffany Starr. And if you want to keep up to date with what Tiffany Starr is doing, check the description down below. I've got all her socials when you can follow her, and also her Twitch. And subscribe to her YouTube channel, which will also be in the description down below. She posts funny compilations, great videos, just great content in general. And I want to give a shout out to Tiffany. Thank you so much for the interview and the chat. It was great, and I can't wait to have you on again because it was a genuine pleasure. To everyone else, enjoy the video. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, or today, in your time. Tiffany Starr, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Fantastic. So, your YouTube channel, it's been around since, I think, May of 2014. And in that time, you've covered a wide variety of games. But, growing up, what was the first game that actually, caught your eye that made you fall in love with gaming?
I've played games for as long as I can remember, really. My first system, real system, because I got like this little box. I can't even remember what it was called, but it had like basic black and white games like Asteroids, and I don't even remember what it was called. It was like, it wasn't even a system, but my first real system was an NES. And while I did love the NES, I don't think uh, I started appreciating games and like collecting and getting really into it until like PlayStation was around, because that's when I was like older. I was like what 12 or 11 at that point, and I could start to actually appreciate the games more. Because when I was a kid, if you threw me like a Mega Man game when I was like 5, there's no way I got past the first screen. So, but uh, on Christmas actually, I got 2 games on the PlayStation. One was Frogger, which it wasn't bad, but it was alright. But the other one was Spyro the Dragon, and I fucking loved it so much. And then I just fell in love with gaming all over again when I got that game. And it was funny because I was a little disappointed that I didn't get an N64 for Christmas and I got a PlayStation. But now in hindsight, I'm glad I got a PlayStation over an N64. But so I would say Spyro the Dragon really kicked off my gaming habits, because instead of just playing casually, I started wanting to buy more games and invite friends over, and we all like shared around the couch doing LAN parties with like classic Halo and stuff like that. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. So, you mentioned Spyro. Spyro's actually been a part of your YouTube channel banner for a long time. You cosplaying as Spyro. Was there ever a point when you got your PlayStation and you had that catalog of gaming that you saw any of the other consoles that were out at the time? You mentioned the N64. Was there anything on the other systems that caught your eye to the level of Spyro, or something sort of on par with it?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, by the same creators of Spyro. I'm a fan of Insomniac Games, not so much when they split off and try to do like third-party stuff, but when they did core Sony games. The next game that actually made me kind of forget Spyro existed for a while, and I actually love more than Spyro. I still love Spyro though, especially the Reignited trilogy, which is amazing. Um, was Ratchet and Clank, which had the awesome colors and visuals that like Spyro. I'm used to Spyro, but it incorporated a plethora of different weapons that you can upgrade, and they would morph into cool guns. Like there was a lava gun, I remember, that if you got it all the way up would turn into a liquid nitrogen gun. It was amazing. It had big open worlds. They were beautiful, vibrant. Tons of enemy variety, tons of different locales. It just sucked me in, and Ratchet and Clank's been my favorite series forever. And it's great because they're coming out with a new one for PS5, which I already have pre-ordered.
All right, yes, that is right. Ratchet and Clank is coming back, which is fantastic to see. They had that Ratchet and Clank film come out. Were you a fan of that, or were you sort of just indifferent to it?
No, I didn't like the Ratchet and Clank film, and I'll tell you why. Ratchet and Clank. There were a few reasons. One, they changed the core story from the original game. Like they threw in Doctor Nefarious, who wasn't even supposed to be around until like the third game, and Chairman Drek was really the only enemy in the first game, and they botched it real bad. My biggest gripe is with the story changes. Here's the thing: Ratchet and Clank don't have problem killing. They kill bad guys all the time in the video games. Sometimes they're like robots and not really killing someone, but other times they're legit biologically, like biological individuals in species. So I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but you know they're organic life. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And at the end of the first Ratchet and Clank game, they actually blow Drek up, just both of them, just flat out murder him. And it was done in a funny, humorous manner as well. I don't know how you make murder funny, but they did it. And they didn't do that in the film. Ratchet and Clank killed absolutely no one and destroyed absolutely nothing because it was like a kids movie, but the game isn't for kids. There's a lot of sexual innuendo jokes in the video games, and you know, a lot of adult humor, but that was not incorporated in the movie. And secondly, and this is the other gripe I have with the movie, they gave him a bunch of like weapons that they just tried out in like a training center, but they never actually used the weapons. They never actually shot someone into pieces with a blaster. If they made the movie, if they had made the movie PG-13, then maybe they could have gotten away with like shooting up robots or like goo monsters or something stupid, and it would have been a little more fun because then you could see them use the gadgets and blowing stuff up and turning creatures into sheep, which I think they did at the end with a sheepinator, but that was the villain once again, not even them, and even that was kind of like lame because I don't know. You want to see them use the weapons like they do in the games. You don't want to see them like test them out for a little bit in like a training center and then not utilize them for the rest of the movie. It was a missed opportunity. The jokes were old hat. It all landed flat, and the change to the script sucked.
Yeah, I think there's
My opinion, though. I mean, if someone likes it, you know, they're entitled to be wrong.
Yeah, that's right. There were a number of issues with the film, but I think, you know, you touched on briefly there with like, you know, the Ratchet and Clank series is really, there's a lot of adult, you know, humor to it, like especially with all of the names of the main series. Like for example, the first Ratchet and Clank game I ever played was Up Your Arsenal. And as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, you know, he's upping his arsenal, he's getting better. And then I realized, oh no, that's clearly a joke about that. And you mentioned Nefarious being in the film along with the director character. I forgot who that one was, but Chairman Drek, that's right. So if you had the opportunity to remake that film, right, just ignoring that the Ratchet Clank film ever happened, if you had to pick one of the games, which one would you adapt into a movie? Would you stick with the first one and make like slight changes, or would you just straight up adapt, say, the PSP game Size Matters or something like that?
I think it's important for everyone to like start with the origin story, so I'd just remake the first one, but do it proper. I would, like I said, probably. I mean, if I was making the movie for me, I'd make it rated R. But but if I'm making it for like people, I'd make it PG-13. So at least I can do some of the same stuff they do in Shrek, where you can throw dirty jokes in there that kids might not get, like the whole Up Your Arsenal thing. Or they also had one called Going Commando, and like you said, Size Matters. And they even had another one planned for Tools of Destruction, but it was I can't remember what it was titled, but it was so like dirty that they weren't allowed to do it. Oh, I should look it up at some point. But I would start with the origin story, make it PG-13, make it so they actually use their goddamn weapons, make the origin story more in line with the game, and I would have them blow Chairman Drek up on the planet he was trying to make at the end of the movie, like they did in the main game. And throw some jokes in there that aren't like eye rollers, like just for kids, you know, or cliche jokes that have been done over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like the whole like Captain Quark squad thing never happened in the first game. Eventually, he did that in like the third game. He got a group of ragtag nobodies to like be part of like his Quark team, but they all had their own like specialties, but they were all like had character flaws that were like hilarious. And I want to do that, not just like make up characters and on the fly. And any character I make up, I want it to not differentiate from the main source material. So I'd redo the first one because I strongly believe I should go in order. The only movie I think wouldn't be as good if I had to make it was like uh, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, because even though it's a great game, the story was not as good as 1 and 3, especially 3 because they bring in Doctor Nefarious, who, by the way, started out as the robot when he met Ratchet and Clank, not as he did in the first film. So it almost felt like a reboot of the first game, and they even made a game, like a PS4 game, that was correlating with the movie. That was a remake of the first game, and the game based off the movie was actually pretty good, but I still didn't like the story as much.
Yeah. The PS4 game that came out, like, that coincided with the film, it's really good. There's a lot of things that you touched on, like with it seeming to be more of a reboot, and I think a lot of gamers would share that sentiment where that's kind of a fear that they have with the new one coming out on PlayStation 5. Because it seems like the continuity that they're following with it is going to be from that PS4 version of Ratchet and Clank, because it's sort of just like a brand new start. Because after a while, I think it got to maybe the 8th entry into the Ratchet and Clank series when like time travel got introduced, they added more multiplayer features into it, and that they were great. But then the characters sort of did get more muddled, so it seems that like they're wanting to do a soft reboot. Is there anything, if they do go that route, that you want to see in this new one for PlayStation 5 now, or maybe in a later game?
I mean, there's like a love-hate relationship with it because I can understand why they would want to reboot it, for new audiences, like for the Zoomers and below. Um, but I also kind of don't like it because there's a lot of like great games from the past, like canon, that they'd just be erasing by rebooting it. You like Up Your Arsenal and Going Commando, and even the great PS3 games like Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time, Into the Nexus, the DLC, Quest for Booty. There's another title, Quest for Booty. Um, and I just feel like they're like just trying to bulldoze over all that like rich lore, you know. Oh, they also had Deadlocked, which was a spin-off. It was mainly more of the shooting and less of the platforming, but even that had like a story to it that was kind of enjoyable. It was one of those cliche, you have a collar on you, and if you try to escape, they blow it up, kind of thing. So, but in the new PS5 version, I'm not looking for too much difference. I like more of the same. I don't mind if they add like a new mechanic if it's fun, like they did in the previous games. I don't mind if like I just want them to keep the solid platforming gameplay with the variety of weapons and the grand, different, varied locales. And I mean that'll really just make me happy in a story that doesn't make me want to rip my hair out. I think it'll be really cool to have the rifts because then you can start out in one level and end the level on another planet or something, or you can go to a planet and then travel through time or dimensions to go to that same planet, but it'll look different in another time or dimension. I think that would be really cool to incorporate in the game. But as for the core gameplay mechanics, I don't think they should tweak it that much because the reason the series has been around for so long is because they haven't broken what doesn't need to be fixed, you know? So that's really all I want. Just like more of the same with some cool mechanics, a good story, and pew pew weapons and a variety of planets or locales or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm a
absolutely.
simple woman.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I think a lot of people would, obviously share that as well. You look at games like Crash Bandicoot, who have sort of taken that approach where back in the day, during the early noughts, you could say that they tried to evolve the gameplay past what the consumer, the gamer actually wanted from the games. You got games in the series like Crash of the Titans, which just completely deviated from the trail of what the style of Crash Bandicoot was known for. And it's sort of over time people were getting sick of Crash Bandicoot, and then when they brought out similar to what they did with Spyro, where they did the Insane trilogy and the Reignited trilogy, they had that chance to go back to what made Crash and Spyro and make them what they used to be, and it reignited a love in a lot of people. They had that nostalgia trip, and it'd be interesting to see if the new Ratchet and Clank does that as well. Where what they've done with About Time. I think that's what the new Crash is called. I'm not.
Yeah, it's Rift Apart.
It's called Rift Apart.
Yeah, like instead of Ripped Apart, Rift Apart. Like, because of the time rifts.
Oh right. Wait. Crash Bandicoot or Ratchet?
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about Ratchet and Clank. You were saying, I'm hoping they continue to do that with the new Ratchet and Clank, and then you said, uh, I thought you were talking about Rift Apart. The new Crash Bandicoot it's about time.
Yeah, that. Oh, yep. All right, cool. Yeah, yeah. That's that. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to with the changes that they made to About Time, where they've added not a great deal to what the original gameplay was. They've added the new masks system into that, where it was like they changed up the feel of the world and the gameplay that you could do during the game, which is similar to what you were saying that you wanted for Rift Apart. And so I was saying that it'd be cool to see them take that route instead of completely just adding things off the wall and really messing with the DNA of what makes Ratchet and Clank. But along with
Tried that, and it's not like they're going to continue what they usually do, which they've done that since All for One, which, while not a bad game, totally deviated from the core Ratchet and Clank experience. And then after that, they're like, "Oops, we screwed up. Let's go back to the classic style of Ratchet and Clank." So they already went over that road where they tried something different and didn't work. By the way, I did like Crash of the Titans. I feel like that's an underrated game. It wasn't a bad game at all. There were plenty of other Crash Bandicoot spin-offs that were not great. So, um, but I don't know. I think when they were trying to like make it like what was that one? What was after Wrath of Cortex?
um, was it one of a new version of the racing series, or did they go
No,
to?
I don't. I like the racing games. It's like the Crash Team Racing remake by Beanox is awesome. I love that game. But like no, it came after it got terrible reviews, and I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it's Wrath of Cortex. I thought it was the one after that, but it's whatever. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but uh, I don't mind if a game company tries something different with their games, but don't try too much different because you know it's like taking something everyone loves and then like saying, "Hey, how about if we make it something that people don't love?" That's what it feels like when people try doing this stuff. Like if it works and it sells like hotcakes, until you start to see sales decline or something like that, but to a significant degree, just keep doing what you're doing. I don't know. That's me. Like the new Crash Bandicoot 4, which I've been streaming on my Twitch channel, which I'm gonna shamelessly plug that in right now, which is twitch.tv/xxx Tiffany underscore Starr. That's 2 hours in Star, by the way. XXX, and I do lots of fun games on there. I've been playing the Japanese only release Pokemon Trading Card Game 2 that was on the Game Boy, but it was translated so people can read it, which is nice. And I've never played it, so I'm excited, being a fan of the first one. And I've been playing Crash Bandicoot 4. And Crash Bandicoot 4, I like because it's more of the same, except they spruce up the graphics. It's a lot prettier. I like the locales. They're not like if the one of the problems with the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy, especially like even like the second and third one, like even the locales weren't as varied. They had like different locales, but like the every like snow level looked very similar to the other snow level. Every like medieval level looked like the other medieval level, just different layout. But in this one, all the levels, even if they're like in the same world or something, they look different with cool stuff in the background. And there's a lot of and I'm gonna love this. There's a lot of Spyro references in the new Crash Bandicoot. They have a Spyro floaty in like the ocean near the beginning of the game, and they also have a Spyro parade, like a float parade, in the background at like this um, Mardi Gras, or I can't remember what it was. Was it Mardi Gras? It was no. What was that? What's Day of the Dead in Mexico?
Uh, oh, is it
Dias del Muertos or something like that.
yeah, it's man, I should know that.
I should know that too, but I don't. But it's pretty much that. That's going on, and there's like cool like ghosts playing like wind instruments, and there's like skeleton keyboards and stuff. It's really cool. But there's like a Spyro float in the background. There's also a couple like from the Toys for Bob's other game, Skylanders is in there, which it was good to see a Skylanders reference. So that was a good time, and they keep the core gameplay. I think it actually plays better than the Insane trilogy. They like really fixed it. So because in the Insane trilogy, I felt like the jumping was off a little bit, and in this one, it's not perfect, but they added a shadow underneath you to help you because clearly people are having trouble dictating how far to jump in the other trilogy, which I did have trouble. Someday maybe I'll make a rage montage of that.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the levels that they do during the Insane trilogy are just they're ridiculously hard to tell, like the depth perception of where they are. I've always like with the earlier Crash Bandicoot games, I always stayed away from them because I knew that it would just mess with my depth perception, and it would always just make me mad. So I didn't want to have that in my life. So instead, I filled it with Ninja Gaiden, which was clearly better for me. But you touched on your Twitch channel. Is there certain games that you feel that would translate better for audiences with Twitch? You know, you got your Among Us, you've got your what is that? Fall Guys. You know, you've got that sort of thing. Is there a perfect Twitch game in your opinion to play for audiences?
Well, there are, but it depends on how you look at it. There's the perfect Twitch game for you, which is whatever you want to play. And then there's the perfect Twitch game for the audiences, the people watching you, and most of the people watching you want to watch whatever the most popular game is at the moment. Sometimes the most popular game coincides with games I like. Like I've been playing a lot of Among Us, and I like that game because it kind of reminds me of Town of Salem or Werewolf or something like that, and those are great games. I love those. I like doing Werewolf in real life too at conventions. Obviously not with COVID-19 running rampant, but I miss doing that when you have groups of like 20 people and you get these crazy classes. So it reminds me of that, and I actually do enjoy Among Us. So certain games I'll get into, but then there are some games that are popular, like for example Fortnite or what's another one, like Hearthstone. I think at the time I do like Hearthstone too, but I'm not going to drop all the money on it. But I absolutely hate Fortnite. I don't like Fortnite at all. I like PUBG better. I don't want crafting in my kill everyone game. That just seems weird to me. Like I don't want to be like building bridges when I'm trying to be like sniping heads. I don't know. I can see why people like it. It's just not for me. So, but the problem is there are some people who also don't like games like Fortnite or Among Us or Fall Guys, and they play through them anyways because they already have a big audience and they want to keep their audience. So they'll force themselves to play games they hate. There's a streamer I know. He's got a lot of views on YouTube. He's quite popular named Tyrannicon, and he plays games that he absolutely despises just to get views or follows or subscriptions. And I don't want to end up being like that person. So the perfect games, whatever's really popular at the moment. Like, you know, a lot of MOBAs are popular, like Dota 2 and stuff like that. I don't, or League of Legends. I don't like either of those. I think the community is mostly toxic in there, especially if you're new. It takes forever to get really good at the game, like to all the intricacies and stuff. And it's just not fun to me. No, especially Dota 2 where it has like what, one map after like how many years? Or did they add a new map? I don't know, but I know League of Legends has multiple maps, but Dota 2 had like the one, and it was like a football game, just playing the same field over and over and over and over again. And it's a shame because Dota and League of Legends has really cool characters. They have like cool character designs, cool names, cool lore. They're just in a shit game. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but they're just in a poopy game.
Yeah, no, swearing is perfectly fine. You don't have to worry about that.
You can bleep it out if you want.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I feel like everyone should know that it's a bleep game.
Yeah. Yeah, the toxicity in the fan bases for games like Dota and League of Legends, it can be really off-putting for a lot of people. I'm one especially. Like I have stayed far away from League of Legends and Dota because I know that it's not really new player friendly, and a lot of the people who you play against are just complete fucking assholes. Like I remember I had the opportunity to play it on the Xbox One, like the League of Legends version, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, that's not the way to play on PC." Fuck off! I play on Xbox. It's just leave me alone. But I remember playing it, and the people that I was playing against were just shitty throughout the entire game. Like you would ask, like, "Oh, I'm trying to use like the pathway effect that you can use, or your your area of effect," and they'd be like, "Just stop playing the fucking game. You're wasting everyone's time." And that's not. You want a fan base to be welcoming for more people, to get more people to play, to have, varied games instead of just a bunch of people ganging up on the new guy or the new girl. And those kind of games seem to have crazy longevity for some reason, whereas games such as like Apex Legends, that's on the down at the moment. Fortnite is still sort of going on that up at the moment due to like the crossovers they have with different companies and different opportunities they get. Like I think the first big one that Fortnite had was John Wick, and then from there they had all these movie deals, TV shows, and it was crazy to see that big influx, and it's all because the fan base wasn't toxic. So it's good to see that a positive fan base can bring positivity to the game and longevity, but it's also interesting to see that toxic fan bases can still stick around and a game can still sort of do well, sort of plateau, but also still be on a little bit of a rise. You mentioned during the, what you were talking about before with games that, certain people despise playing, but they play it to get, more views or to maintain a strong following. Is there a game that you've encountered like that you personally have hated playing, but you still played anyway?
Uh, yeah, but not for the reasons you're thinking. If there's a game that I don't like, I don't feel obligated to play it just to get like subscriptions or views or anything like that. I will sometimes play games that I know I might not like, specifically because people like to see me get mad. And also, I can make good YouTube content out of it. So I'll record it, and even if I'm miserable during the experience, it will create good content. But if it's a game I hate that I think won't give any content, like MOBA or Dota 2 or what, like any MOBAs or like Dota 2 or League of Legends, I just won't do it. The problem with those games, they're popular to watch, I think, but not really popular to play. And the people who are already play is like the only game they play half the time. So it's like they know what they're doing. So anyone that tries to come in and know what they're doing, they just tell them to screw off. And because they've been playing for like 2,000 hours on Steam or something ridiculous like that. But I don't want to get into any games like that because that I think will make boring content, and I would also hate myself playing it. But I also play games I like that make me mad too, like any of the Mega Man games. Like I love Mega Man. I've beaten most of them. Still get my butt kicked. I like Dark Souls a lot. One of my favorite series. Demon Souls, the remake's coming out. I'll be streaming that. I'm excited for that on PS5, and I'm sure I'll be really mad playing that too. But I've never actually played a game for views that I hated. I think the only game I played like that recently was a game I didn't even know I didn't like until I started streaming and playing it. So I forced myself to play through it like a couple hours. That was Fall Guys. When Fall Guys was first introduced, I thought Fall Guys would be like really fun. It looked really fun, like the kind of battle royale I can get behind. And it wasn't really. It was lacking game modes and well, not so much modes. Well, yeah, modes I think, but not like game modes, but like uh round modes. What would I even call that? Like it's like the same three starting missions recycled, and then the next one's like the same three, and then like the at the end it's like the same two, for who wins, like grab a crown or like try not to fall in the goop. And it's just like it got really monotonous and tedious. And also, I know it's intended to control like crap, but the game controls awfully. And it was fun for a little bit, but then I got sick of it like after half an hour, and I'm like, I don't see the appeal. So I can see why Among Us is rising above it currently in popularity, which I agree with because that game controls well. It's simple pick up and play mechanics, and it's fun whether you're the crewmate or not. And who doesn't love yelling at people and accusing them, right? So yeah, I usually don't play games I know I'm going to hate just for popularity. I usually play games I want to play. Sometimes I'll play a game I think I'll like and I'll end up hating, but that's not the same thing.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. It's good. It's good that there's at least a line that you have when it comes to gaming, and you don't really want to put yourself through that, which is it's good. There's a different kind of putting yourself through that sort of not hating yourself, but like a game like Dark Souls where it's just kicking the shit out of you the entire time you're playing, and then you that rewarding feeling of when you learn the boss's movements and that makes it all worth it. Whereas there's just games that just control like shit, and then you're not really rewarded for the experience. It's more just that end result. Whereas where the journey's kind of crap. You mentioned before with the games like Town of Salem, which that's a great game, along with Werewolf. But have you considered playing Secret Hitler?
Secret Hitler is a lot like Avalon. A lot of the games are like very similar. I've played Avalon, and I also have a game called The Resistance, which is similar to me as well. And uh, if it, I don't know, like it pretty much is the same game as Secret Hitler, except you don't have to say the word Hitler. So the name Hitler, I should say, but whatever. So I, in fact, I might have played it before, but they just went calling it Secret Hitler. I don't know, but I don't know if I want to play Secret Hitler if I already have uh like five versions of like basically the same game. I don't know if you've played Avalon or the Resistance or anything like that.
Yeah, I've actually never encountered Avalon or the Resistance before.
Avalon's kind of like Secret Hitler, except it's like a medieval fantasy thing.
Oh, right, fair enough. I'll have to give that a look. Uh, well, we're coming to the closing moments of this interview. It's been really good, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on the, I guess I don't want to say evolution, but sort of the ongoing debate of is digital better than physical media? So, we've got that advent, that's the perfect word for it. We've got the advent of digital coming in. Do you see it as a positive thing? Do you see it as a negative thing? Do you prefer physical over digital? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's positive and negative for different reasons. I prefer physical media myself because I actually like holding and owning the physical copy. My fear is I'll dump hundreds, thousands, whatever amount of ridiculous money on like downloadable games, and then eventually they'll be obsolete because they don't transfer over to the next system, or uh, for example, like I'm not religious, but Satan forbid that Steam just bankrupts or sells or like their company and they just fold, and all my Steam games of like 1,000 games go, you know. So digital media is always like a little scary, but uh, it's convenient and there's often sales going on. So it sometimes I'll get a copy of a game digitally just because like if you look online, it's just like so much more expensive to get a physical copy. Like if I wanted a like for a good example is Resident Evil 7, the Gold Edition, which came with all the DLC and stuff, was like $20 I think on sale at one point, like towards the like a couple months after its release. But everywhere else was still selling the Gold Edition for 70, and even if it was on sale, it was like 60 for like, yeah, it's like even if they cut it by 40, that's still like 50% off on Steam. And so it's really hard to say no to stuff like that. But deep down, I prefer physical media. That's why I got the PS5 with the physical media disc, because I like owning something. And even if they like shut down their servers and all my games are gone that I spent tons of money on, I'll at least be able to play the game in my hand, you know?
Hmm.
So that's my take on it. I like uh, physical media, but I swing more towards physical. Plus, it looks badass on my shelf.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that's a major thing as well for people who do enjoy getting the physical disc or the physical case. You know, they get to display it. Whereas with, digital, it's like, oh, do you want to come look at? Do you want to look at the game? Do you want to look at the console? Look at the list. It's less like, oh shit, this looks impressive. Look at all these games. You can just pick them off the shelf, sort of thing. And I think a lot of people are a little, worried about losing that aspect of gaming where it's like you bring family, you bring friends over and you go, well, pick a game, we'll all play a game together. And the digital kind of takes that sort of fun and mystery out of like, oh, I wonder what this game's about, whereas you just read the box. But that's all right. It's definitely a conversation.
Digital, there are some games I think that are better digital. Most games I would say are better physical, but like party games, I feel like are better digitally. Like all the Jack boxes, you can just have them all digitally, and they're all alphabetical on PS4, and you just fire it up. Especially games like if you play often with friends and family, it's just for example, I don't have a physical copy of Smash Bros. Ultimate because it's a party game, and I know wherever I go with that, and someone else has a Switch, like 90% of the chance they'll have it, and I can just play it with them. And that, like games like that, I feel like are fine digitally. But most games, especially single player action adventure games or anything where you don't have to play with other people, it's better to have a physical copy. Or like another good set of games you can get digitally are like smaller games, like really easy to beat indie games in like 3 hours or something like that. Because I mean, it'd be cool to have like a physical copy of it as well. But if I beat the game in like 3 hours, it's like, I don't know. It just feels like a bite-sized game. So I'm gonna, get the bite-sized version. Just download it. But yeah, I agree with what you were saying. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, the sort of bite-sized games are, they're pretty good for digital. I don't know if you've played. I think it's called This War of Mine or War of Mine. Have you encountered that game before?
This War of Mine.
Yeah, This War of Mine.
The two of them, weren't there?
Yes, yes, there was This War of Mine, and then I think This War of Mine, The Little Ones. I think that's how it went. But that is a perfect example of a digital game. It's not meant for a massive amount of time. It's just you devote a session to it and see how you go, and then you come back to it every now and again and see how things have gone. But it's interesting that gaming has evolved to that point where you've got all these options, whereas back in the day you just had you had Asteroid, you had Pong, you had just these games that artificially made difficulty to ensure that you had longevity with the game, whereas now you have big, massive, sprawling open worlds. You got your Breath of the Wilds, you got your Genshin Impacts, you got you got your Last of Us, your Last of Us 2s. It's a big, varied open world. Another perfect example, yeah. Yeah. So I would say in terms of quality of games, there isn't really anything to worry about in the terms of the digital versus the physical media there. I think the games will be fine. It's just that argument of digital versus physical, I think, will rage on for many years to come still, but it does seem like we're going towards more digital, and physical may be phased out eventually just because of, production costs and stuff. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes and how we all react to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, uh, at some point it might end up that way, and in which case I'll have no choice but to be on board. And you know what? I wouldn't even like care of getting the digital copies if I knew that my games were safe and they were mine. You know, like if I buy it, I want to keep it. that's the biggest problem I have with digital is you never know when you're gonna like lose that stuff. Um, but I still and you know I still like having the physical copies displayed. But even if I had to get rid of that for if it phased out, I'd still go with the flow. I love gaming too much. I'm not into games just to have like stuff on my shelf. It just looks cooler. But like I'm a leftist, but in this regard, I'm like a centrist because in regards to digital and physical, because I can see the pros and cons of both sides. I mean, I don't really see too many downsides to physical media, except you have to exchange the discs out, which is like not really a big issue. It's not hard, and that you have to either go out to buy it or order it and wait for it to be delivered to you. And those are the only things that, whereas digital media is instant, you know. So that's the only. Well, it has to download, but you know what I mean. But that's the only downside I think to physical. Whereas digital, I feel like it's more risky. But if the whole what's the word I'm thinking of? Sorry, edit this part out. Oh, here we go. Like if the whole gaming community switched to digital, then I'm on board with it. It just I want it to happen like definitively. Like I remember during PS4 and Xbox One, uh, I remember initially Xbox One wanted to like Microsoft wanted Xbox One to release with a digital only version and no disc at all. And then PlayStation 4 is like, no, we're gonna have a disc drive, and it was almost like that was a physical versus digital media battle there. And then eventually Microsoft caved, and they gave Xbox One like a disc drive and stuff like that. But originally they wanted it to be digital only, trying to push towards the future. And I feel like at some point we might get there. I'm not ready for it yet because I like my physical copies, but but if it happens together, like if Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and any other gaming companies like, listen, we're not making physical games anymore, just digital. All of us are doing it. Okay, then I'll just get the console, or well, I mean, I have a gaming PC, so whatever. But but I'll get whatever version I want, and it won't matter if I have to go out and buy games because I'll just get them all digitally. But if I have the option for physical, I'm going to get that. That's why with the new PS5, I got the one with the physical disc tray, not the download only. So.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I could genuinely talk video games with you all day, but I should let you go. You've got a busy day ahead of you, I'm sure.
I do. But I did have a lot of fun, so if you ever want to do this again, let me know, and maybe we can get the times set up correctly this time.
Yeah.
Instead of me waking up 2 hours after our initial scheduled interview, and oopsie.
Yeah, nah, this sort of thing happens a lot though, you know, you gotta finagle to find the right time, but, you know, I'm glad that we finally got to find the time, and even though it's...
I could talk about games all day, so I'm having a good time, but yeah, I do have to go. I have a thing I have to do actually in 2 minutes.
Oh shit, alright, well, I'll let you go. Tiffany, thank you so much. I will I'll organise the socials and stuff with you later, but thank you so much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure.